Hi everyone, this is Arian K. Alorcaza and I'm one of the members in Group 9 that will be discussing about the naturalistic tradition. As a worldview, philosophical naturalism claims that the universe does not require any supernatural cause, conservation, or government. Further, naturalism declares that the world is self-existent and capable of its own direction. Some versions of naturalism insist that there is no true purposiveness of working in the world, and that even the appearance of man in the course of evolution was a completely gratuitous incident. The naturalist also seeks to explain all mental and spiritual life as ordinary operations of nature without any need for supernatural events or sanctions. Naturalistic ethics is the moral theory that considers ethics to be essentially an empirical science of human conduct, value, and obligation. And the word empirical means precisely that the naturalistic moralist seeks to base his claims on relevant findings of the behavioral sciences, such as sociology, anthropology, and psychology, and also to the natural science, which includes biology, chemistry, and physics.
Good day everyone, I am Chris Arbolis. Today I will continue the discussion of Mr. Kaza. Considerable stimulation to the perspective of naturalism was provided by the publication of Charles Darwin's Origin of Species in 1859. Darwin established his theory of the evolution of man from brute animal ancestors by his principle of natural selection.
The naturalistic tradition is the belief that nature is all that exists, and that all things supernatural, including gods, spirits, soul, and non-natural values, therefore do not exist. Naturalistic is an outgrowth of realistic. The latter is literally technique in which an author describes the way things are, but naturalistic significantly expands upon this idea by delving into how the way things are influences a character's behavior and nature.
Although the naturalists stress the risk, hazard, and appearance of novelty in the universe, he agreed with the Greek and Christian philosophers who held that there are some stabilities in the world and that through the scientific method some objective knowledge of the world can be gained. Although the naturalistic will justify insist on the function of reason as an instrument for successful encounter with a world of risk and uncertainty, we must refuse to characterize him as thinking that the world is changing so fast that no stability is possible, no continuity available.
In this tradition, the very acquisition of stability and equilibrium is the price of reason informed by scientific method. The naturalistic tradition is a philosophical view that asserts that all beings and appearances in the universe, or whatever their essential may be, are natural.
Two of our country's greatest philosophers were naturalists. First, John Dewey, and the second is George Santayana. Dewey's naturalistic emphasis can be found in the developed from in such works as Experience and Nature in 1925 and The Quest for Certainty in 1929. The work of John Dewey, The Experience and Nature, has been considered the fullest expression of his mature philosophy since its eagerly awaited publication in 1925. Erwin Edman wrote at the time that with monumental care, detail, and completeness, Professor Dewey has in this volume revealed the metaphysical heart that beats its unvarying alert tempo through all his writings. Whatever their explicit themes, in his introduction to this volume, Sidney Hook points out that Dewey's Experience and Nature is both the most suggestive and most difficult of his writings. While the Quest for Certainty, it is a study of the relation between knowledge and action. The book is made up of the Gifford Lecture delivered on April-May 1929 at the University of Edinburgh. Writing to Sidney Hook, Dewey described this work as a criticism of philosophy as attempting to attain theoretical certainty. In the Philosophical Review, Massey author later elaborated Mr. Dewey wanted so far as in as lay in his power to crumble into dust, once and for all, the chief fortress of the classic philosophical tradition. In Santayana's philosophy is well expressed in The Life of Reason in 1905 to 1906 and Citicism and Animal Faith in 1923, where in his work, The Life of Reason was the high point of his Harvard career. It consists of reason in common sense, reason in society, reason in religion, reason in art, and reason in science. The work is considered to be the most complete expression of his moral philosophy. While, while his later magnum opus, the four-volume The Realms of Being, more fully develops his metaphysical and epistemological theory, many believe The Life of Reason to be one of the most poetic and well-written works of philosophy in Western history. In this work, The Skepticism and Animal Faith, Santayana analyzes the nature of the knowing process and demonstrates by means of clear, powerful arguments how we know and what validates our knowledge. The central concept of his philosophy is found in a careful discrimination between the awareness of objects independent of our perception and the awareness of essence attributed to object by our minds, or between what Santayana calls the realm of existence and the realm of subsistence. Since we can never be certain that these attributes actually inhere in substratum of existence, skepticism is established as a form of belief, but animal faith is shown to be a necessary quality of the human mind. Without this faith, there could be no rational approach to the necessary problem of understanding and surviving in this world. So these are the important American naturalists include Sidney Hook, born in 1902, Abraham Edel, born in 1908, Ernest Nagel, born in 1901, John Herman Randall Jr., born in 1899, and Maurice R. Cohen, born in 1880 and died 1947.
Hi everyone, I am Nikami Pinosa, one of the reporters of the naturalistic tradition. Traditional experimental studies of analogical retrieval converge in documenting the centrality of superficial similarities during the retrieval of analogous situations from long-term memory. The present chapter reviews a more recent generation of observational studies which began to analyze the spontaneous analogies produced by professionals of several disciplines as they work in their areas of expertise. The analogies generated within scientific domains such as biology, psychology, or geology revealed a close thematic connection between the target analogs and the retrieved sources, with distant analogizing being mostly restricted to the goal of illustrating ideas to others. However, the productive analogists generated journalists, economists, educators, and developers of industrial products were drawn to the same domain as the target in a small proportion of the cases, thus suggesting that the retrieval of analogous cases is not invariably constrained by superficial similarity. After reviewing the use of analogies within this varied array of professional activities, we succinctly describe the computer models that were engineered to simulate this pattern of analogical retrieval. The characters in realist works have more agency, while they're products of their environments. They have the freedom to counter their environments and influence their own futures. This differs significantly from naturalist works, where characters enjoy no such autonomy from their circumstances. The hard reality of their lives, defined by genetics, nature, or just the cruel hand of fate, is the sole deciding factor in what happens to the characters.
So, the perspectives on key issues. So in the analysis of key positions, I'm going to discuss on the naturalism of John Dewey, since he expressed the naturalistic temper in a classical manner. First, we have value. So Dewey insisted that value proceeds from the reflective analysis of the novelty presented to each generation. So he emphasized that man seeks to transact with nature by intelligence, and he increases his own value as well as that of nature by the quality of the solutions he brings in answer to the felt needs in his life, and that the supreme value is attained when the intellectual mediation of the challenges offered by the world is successful. So meaning that good man mediates the conflict between past knowledge and present novelty. Above all, he does not flee the problems of this world by looking to another more perfect world, for the answers must be found in this world. So this kind of knowledge that will derive the needed answers is also known as the scientific method, in which, since the time of Galileo, he has transformed the world in which we live. Another one is obligation. So Dewey's general principle is that each man is obligated to action and responsibility in strict proportion to the cultivation of his mind and the power of his reflective intelligence. So this is an echo to the Platonic theme that knowledge is virtue. Also, Dewey stresses heavily that there is a need for every man to grow to ever greater moral maturity and sense of obligation. He also writes this, that the good man is the man who, no matter how morally unworthy he has been, is moving to become better. And the bad man is the man who, no matter how good he has been, is beginning to deteriorate or to grow less good. So also Dewey stresses that men are obligated to the ever-enduring process of perfecting, maturing, refining their aim in living. Next, we have the natural law. So the norm of morality is also given an objective character in the works of Dewey. So although it has objective reference to the sciences of man, it is not considered impervious to change, nor it is binding in the same way on all men. So with Dewey, the norm and natural law takes on social character, meaning that action is lawful that will mediate the risks and dangers of situations confronting men and society. And it would be inadequate to speak of this as a plea for adjustment and more like an active solving of a pressing crisis than a fatalistic submission to what are assumed to be insoluble situations. Thus, Dewey insists that no society or individual can gain true moral life without constantly employing intelligent reflection to make the necessary revisions of the traditional theory to meet his own requirements and those of society. And last but not the least, we have virtue. So from the description of the good man and the bad man in Dewey's reconstruction of philosophy, it can be seen that the supreme good quality to be found in man is the development of those values that reason itself approves. So, and related to this, it is an attitude which Dewey calls meliorism, or the ability to struggle little by little to make one's lot and the whole world itself better. So, according to Dewey, we must not be foolish optimists and imagine evil can be overcome easily and without intelligence. Neither can we be pessimists and assume that evil is overwhelming and that we are powerless before it. So a final necessary virtue is what Dewey calls sensitivity to the unique character of every moral situation. So this is a recognition of the truth that each situation, each man, or each problem possesses a unique style and structure. So opposed to this virtue is what we call, opposed to this virtue is the supposition that all problems are the same, all men are alike, and nothing is new under the sun.